Hi everyone, happy Thursday. Welcome back, my little nutrition nation. My name is Doctorate and this is my channel where I answer on request your questions about pet food. So basically, you guys ask me questions on doing a nutrient analysis of the pet food, and so I do just that. I remove the marketing mumbo jumbo that is there to confuse you, and also, honestly is quite confusing to a lot of people because they get some of these questions over and over again, and take that away and make it simple, make it fun, and we have a nice comment section where we have open dialogue that is not judgmental and not here to make you feel bad about what you're feeding, but help you understand what you're feeding and empower you to make decisions that are best for you and your pet. And so today we're going to do Earthborn Holistics. I've emailed the company and I had some excellent dialogue back and forth with them. I felt a little bit like, an interrogator, like a news reporter, back and forth with them and grilling them and asking them questions. But I think you will find this helpful as we go through the food. So if you want to follow along, you can join me at earthbornholisticpetfood.com. and we'll go ahead and get started. And so number one thing is this word holistic. And so what does holistic mean as far as the pet food industry? The regulators of the pet food industry, the word holistic means absolutely nothing. It has no legal definition. To the pet food marketers, it absolutely has value, and they slap that on there to instill and promote a sense of well-being and nutrition that may be different to the individual. And so we'll get into what holistic means to Earthborn here in a minute. But that is one of their number one call outs, is that this food is holistic. We not only love your pet, but we love the planet too. So again, we're throwing out this love and these feelings and trying to suck you in emotionally. And I don't want to be sitting here like I have a cold black heart and that I'm not going to get emotionally invested in my pet. I am, but I am not going to get emotionally invested in my pet's food, because in the end, what is important to me is the nutrition that the food offers my pet. My pet doesn't care if the planet is loved. My pet doesn't care if the package is recyclable. My pet doesn't care, if the plants are sprinkled with love every day and spoken to, and sweet nothings are whispered, in the animal protein's ear. My pet doesn't care about that. Those are secondary. And I'm fine with all of those things, and I'm fine with you spending money on those things if that makes you happy. But as a veterinarian, to me, what's most important is the nutrients that the food delivers. And so that's what we're going to focus on today using the pet food scoring system. Totally made it up. I made it up because it's parameters that you guys can easily find. It's on the package, or easily available if you email the companies, and they're backed by clinical data. And so if you don't believe me or want to take my word for it, these aren't my cozy feelings. They're published data, and you can check that data out in the description box at the free link to Small Animal Clinical Nutrition. Why do I use that textbook? It's one of the only textbooks that has a compilation of those numbers in totality, and the references to go back and back those up. So I wanted to have that all available to you so that you could read into that further and dive into that a little bit deeper if you chose to do so. There were no other references of the like anywhere to be found. So we're going to be using those numbers today. So I perused through the website, and I picked a food. I just picked one that I thought would be a good one to do. And the one I picked was this one right here. It's got a new look, the unrefined smoked salmon recipe. And I like smoked salmon, so why not feed that to my dog? And so there's a picture of the kibble. I do like that it's just a plain kibble. It doesn't have the dyes. I don't like that when a lot of the companies do the dyeing and stuff like that. And a lot of them aren't doing that anymore, and I'm happy about that. It says that the unrefined smoked salmon recipe, now keep in mind that word recipe means that this food is only 25% smoked salmon, 75% something else. That word recipe isn't on there just to be a fancy terminology. That word recipe actually is legally definable for them to put that on the package. This food must be at minimum 25%. Yes, it could be more, but there are other designators for more, and they're not using those designators. They're using the word recipe, which means 25% is where we're at on the smoked salmon. 15 other super rich foods: pumpkin, cranberries, butternut squash, paired with ancient grains, quinoa, oatmeal, and enriched with taurine for heart health. That is another marketing gimmick I'm going to let you guys in on. Taurine is an amino acid. It is not an essential amino acid for dogs. It is not needed to be added to the diet. Dogs actually synthesize their own taurine. And so the fact that it is added is a bonus for your eyes only. Your dog makes plenty enough taurine for themselves. But again, the heart health and DCM and all that is in the forefront of everybody's minds. So when they have redesigned this package, they have now highlighted the fact that they add taurine, which is not essential, and we will see that when we get to the guaranteed analysis. This salmon dog food recipe is crafted for dogs and puppies alike. That's another warning sign I want you guys to pick up on. It is not appropriate to feed a puppy dog food. Is not appropriate to feed an adult dog food puppy. They are different life stages with different requirements. Could you do it? Yes, you could. Your puppy is not going to die if you feed it adult dog food and vice versa. However, is it optimal? No, it is not. And so we're talking about optimal. We're not talking about eking by. And so when companies merge life stages together, it is a sign of laziness, and it is a sign that they want to make one food but sell it to the most people possible. So they're just interested in pumping this food out with the least work put into it. So that's a deal on that. That's alluding to the fact that this is going to be an all life stage food. All right, we're not going to read into the customer stories and still things like that, building a better bowl, etc. We're going to move into the things that are important, and that is the nutrient analysis. Now, we already talked about the ingredient list. Salmon is up there. We talked about that. It's 25% salmon, 75% some of these other things. So we've got some dried egg. That's a good source of protein. So I'm not mad about that. Butternut squash, sunflowers. They talked about all these things. So it's not grain free and it's not raw. So I'm happy. So they're going to get a point there. Why do I designate not grain free and not raw? Go over this many times in many of my videos. These videos are for the general population. Grain-free and raw is not for the general population. It should be fed in accordance and on the direction of either your personal veterinarian or a board-certified veterinary nutritionist who has taken into consideration your pet's specific needs. These videos are for the general population, and I would not recommend those things in general. These videos are for healthy, general population animals, because I don't know your pet. I'm not personally acquainted with you. Do I make specific tailored recommendations to my patients that I see in my general practice? Absolutely, every day I do that. But I know them personally, and that's appropriate. It's not appropriate to deviate from that. I don't feel on the internet, so that's why I do that. So love it or hate it, that's my truth, and so that's what I speak here. So they're gonna get 2 points for not being grain free. Let me write this down here on my little notebook. Not grain free, not raw. So they're getting 2 points on the feeding Dr. A's pet food scoring system. So we got 2 points there already. Calorie content 345. We're gonna need that to calculate the calories a little bit later. We're going to move right into the nutritional statement. And so this says, Earthborn Holistic Unrefined Salmon Recipes formulated so was not feeding child. They're going to lose a point there. To meet the levels established by AFCO for all life stages. And we talked about how that was probably going to be the case because they were toting on how that was a good thing earlier. But we know it's not. For the growth of large-sized dogs, 70 pounds or more as adults. So this is a large breed puppy food. So they're going to lose a point for that because this is being marketed in general, when you look at the package, doesn't say anywhere puppy. And so I bet you there's a lot of people out there that pick this package and are feeding it to their adult dog because they don't realize that this is a large breed puppy. And so that's marketing, right? The lack of transparency, the being vague about that, and to try to sell it to more people because legally they can. That's what's going on there. So they're not getting any points for the AAFCO statement. So we're only at 2 points here. We are going to get in to the feeding guideline. Actually, let's see. We've got it right here, so let's just check that out. You always know when it's an all life stage 2 when we've got multiple feeding guidelines because they are trying to account for all the different life stages that are happening. 20 pounds, so 10 to 20 pounds for the adult dog. They're saying feed 1.5 cups, so 1.5 times 345. 517, that is going to be correct. The correct feeding range for a 20-pound dog when calculated using the resting energy requirements somewhere between 363 to 538. So 517 is a little bit on the higher end, so you could always do a little bit less than that and still be good. So they're going to get a point there. So we're up to 3 points. Now we're getting into the guaranteed analysis. And so I'm going to point out a very important part here. When you look on these websites and you look on the packages, the guaranteed analysis, although it seems like, oh yeah, I can just look at that and take the numbers from there, realistically, no, you cannot. Because these are minimums and maximums, and that's what AAFCO makes them put on there. AAFCO is a regulatory agency. They only care about minimums on nutrients that they don't want your pet to be deficient on, and maximums on things like fiber, where they don't want a company just to load a food with fiber and basically fill it with fillers. And so that's what they care about there. They don't care about optimal nutrition. And so we're not going to use that. We need to compare these to the ideal parameters in small animal clinical nutrition, which are on a dry matter basis. So what do you need to do? You need to call the company or email the company and ask for those. And that's what I did. And I have those numbers I'm going to share with you today. I do want to point out a couple other things here. Vitamin E minimum at 300 international units is pretty a wimpy number. I know 300 seems like a big number, but actually it really needs to be like above 400. So it's a pretty wimpy number there. And then what I was telling you guys earlier, taurine, 0.1%. You see that asterisk? That asterisk's right there telling you they're putting that in there and they're using that as like a marketing thing. But taurine is not an essential ingredient by AAFCO dog nutrient profiles because the dog can synthesize it. So that's a little marketing thing in the dog, not in the cat. Cat's different species. So just keep that in mind. So we're going to use the numbers that I emailed them and got. And so those numbers I'm going to pop up on the screen here for you. And then we're going to compare those numbers to small animal clinical nutrition. So let's pull up our adult chart. So Earthborn Holistics told me that the protein on a dry matter basis was 26.1%, the fat was 16.3, fiber at 10.3, calcium at 1.3, phosphorus at 1.1. And so for protein, we wanted between 15 and 30, and so we are in that range, so we're going to get a point there. Fat at 16.3, we need between 10 and 20, we're going to get a point there. Fiber is quite high, 10.3%. We usually want it less than 5, so they're actually going to lose a point on fiber. Some dogs, a lot of dogs do well with higher fiber. Some dogs don't do too well with higher fiber. It can cause some stomach cramping or maybe some looser stools, maybe excessive stools, too much stool, especially if you live in an area, like in the city, and you've got to do pick up poo-poo, pick up feces at the dog park and things like that. You might not want to have to be doing that as often, so higher fiber may not be ideal for you, but they will lose a point there because ideally the ideal stool is going to be less than 5. And then the calcium and phosphorus are both going to be excessive, so the minerals are out of range. So this food is getting a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 out of 10 on the Dr. Ray's pet food scoring system. Now, there are some other things that I think we can take into consideration. Now, I like foods to be 7 or above. If they're below that, I feel like we're getting some major things that are off, and in this case it's going to be the minerals, the complete AAFCO statement, completely off. And so there are some other factors there that I do like to investigate in these diets, and so I did. And so the first thing I wanted to know was, okay, it's a 5 out of 10, missing out on a couple things. Do they have a board certified nutritionist that is overseeing this? If they're going to be off, at least is there somebody there that can justify why this is the case? And I asked them that, and they responded, and they said Midwestern Pet Foods, that's who makes Earthborn Holistics, has an in-house animal nutritionist that collaborates with a team of nutritionists and veterinarians. Now, the in-house animal nutritionist is a PhD from Kansas State University with a complete postdoctoral research program at Kansas State University, MS from the University of Nebraska, and a certificate of companion animal nutrition from the University of Illinois, and 10 plus years of experience in the industry. And so I thought that was pretty good. I would give them a bonus point for that. They were super transparent. They gave me they didn't give me the name of the person, but they did give me a lot of their credentials, and so I thought that was really good. Now, the next thing that I asked them was a bit of a hard question, and I ask a lot of the companies hard questions, and some of them just don't email me back. We will get into that with another food review in the future, near future, where I was hardballing, well, I'll just say it, I was hardballing Open Farm to get some information, and they just eventually stopped emailing me. So, Midwestern Pet Foods and Earthborn Holistics was happy to engage me on this, and so I felt like I was reviewing maybe a college entrance essay at this point, because I emailed them and I said, I would like to know what makes your food holistic, seeing as there's not a real definition of what holistic means. So what does holistic mean to you? And they responded back. And they responded back very quickly, within, I think, like 24 hours. And so this was their response. Thank you for your question regarding Earthborn Holistics. You are correct that there is no AAFCO guided definition. And so this was their answer. Holistic comes from the word whole, meaning complete. Earthborn Holistic Pet Food utilizes the whole grain instead of only the core. This provides additional fiber and nutrients that would normally be removed through processing the grain. The standard process for removing the outer shell of grains to get to the core is through an acid bath. We also do not add chemical preservatives or stabilizers to our foods. Based on the raw ingredients and how our food is manufactured is why we feel our recipes are holistic. And so was not the answer that I was expecting, but you can see the reason why they feel that their food is holistic is because they use the whole grain instead of only the core. And their method, the reason for doing that is that they do not want to use acid baths or other type of stabilizers or chemical preservatives to, to achieve that separation process. So there you have it. That was Earthborn Holistics. Obviously, they've got many other foods in their lines. This was just one of them. Feel free to apply the PSS system to some of the other foods. And if you do that and you find one that maybe scores a 7, 8, 9, or 10, let me know. On that note, I do have a playlist if you are interested in some other foods that did score maybe a little bit higher. I have a wide variety of foods in my adult dog food, adult cat foods playlist, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And so there's some varied options there, from vegan options to fresh food options that may interest you. So thank you guys for hanging out with me this Thursday. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, feel free to like and subscribe. Leave me a comment down below if you have a request. I do these for free and by request, so leave me a comment saying using the word request somewhere, and I will try to do more of these for you guys in the future. And I will see you guys again next week on Thursday. Bye.